Thanks for staying with Bernama TV. Here are this week's top stories. Now, Gulf states have issued a statement in support of Qatar, calling on the US to put pressure on Israel. Also in Timor-Leste, they look closer to trade ties with Malaysia and boost in agriculture and tourism. And a little while later, in our Point of View segment, my colleague SANKARA, the Assistant Editor of General News Service at Bernama, joins us to speak about Timor-Leste's preparedness for ASEAN. I'm Jessy Chahal. You're watching The World on Bernama TV. We begin the news with this Gulf called US nuclear threats. Well, shifting our focus to Southeast Asian region now, Timor-Leste is aiming to boost trade and investment with Malaysia, focusing on areas like food security, agriculture and tourism through closer ASEAN cooperation. The Chamber of Commerce and Industry Vice President Sidonio Trindade de Costa Freitas said demand for Malaysian goods such as eggs and poultry is rising, while new Batik Air flights between Kuala Lumpur and Dili are creating fresh opportunities. He added that Malaysian investors are also exploring tourism projects, including diving facilities on Atoro Island.
Of course, the trade between Timor-Leste and Malaysia has been ongoing, but we also hope that we could increase more the volume, especially now with the open link of the flight between Timor-Leste and Malaysia. This is the starting. And almost over weekends, we have a lot of visitors coming here, but these visitors come looking for the opportunity in Timor-Leste.
Meanwhile, on agriculture, Freitas said Timor-Leste is modernizing the sector, with the Chamber of Commerce and Industry working alongside the government to provide seedlings, fertilizers and technical support for farmers. According to him, crops such as rice, corn, cassava, mung beans, vanilla and coffee are being prioritized, with coffee still the country's strongest international brand. But challenges such as climate change, deforestation and limited capacity require more private sector involvement.
My message from our Malaysians and especially to our ASEAN friends: help Timor-Leste to harmonize its policy, align with ASEAN, especially now that we are concentrating on developing digitalization, which concentrating on trade across the border, paperless trade across the border, and at the same time, enhancing the capacity and building Timorese, young Timorese, who could come up with the skills, with the entrepreneurs, employ themselves, develop businesses with partners from other ASEAN countries, and then we can supply the product of Timor to ASEAN.
Freitas noted that Malaysian SMEs are showing interest in the Timorese market, while the government is also pushing for organic certification to give local products an export edge. Well, we'll bring you more updates on Timor-Leste's investment, connectivity and growth as I speak to SANKARA, Bernama's Assistant Editor, in conjunction with the country's preparations to join ASEAN. That's coming up right after this break. You're watching The World on Bernama TV.
Hi, Jessy. Yeah, definitely. You can hear me, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Definitely, it will be a historic moment for Timor-Leste to become the 11th member of ASEAN. I think the 47th ASEAN Summit will be an important meeting where you can see Timor-Leste being the youngest nation in Southeast Asia being admitted as a member. And how does it benefit Timor-Leste? By joining ASEAN, we could see that they will get better visibility because no one knows about Timor-Leste, their geography. So by joining ASEAN, people get to know more about Timor-Leste, their economy. And also, Timor-Leste will be given the chance to sit together with other ASEAN member states at the same table and making critical decisions on security, diplomacy, and so forth. And for ASEAN in general, admitting Timor-Leste as a member will give them a stronger voice in the international arena. And also, ASEAN now talks about inclusivity and sustainability, which is very much in line with our current theme, which is inclusivity and sustainability. So when you talk about inclusiveness, admitting Timor-Leste as a member, it actually aligns with the call made by ASEAN. So it benefits both parties.
Well, you've been speaking to officials as well as the business community. What are they saying about opportunities for investment, whether from Malaysia, ASEAN, or even international partners?
With the interaction here, community, they think one of the sectors which very much are sought after is the halal industry here. So they are actually willing to work with halal body like JAKE to share their best practices here. And another thing is the project called Greater Sunrise Project, when you go to Timor-Leste, everyone talks about this project. It's a gas field project which will be implemented soon. So they actually look local partners, local players tie up here to actually engage in offshore activities because there are huge untapped natural gas resources here in Timor-Leste. So companies like from Malaysian offshore companies like Malaysia can come in for a joint venture collaboration, and also downstream activities as well in building LNG facilities near the Greater Sunrise project. It will give much boost to our Malaysian companies as well, and also coffee. I mean, when I come here, Timor-Leste coffee is a much softer, much sought after coffee here, and definitely coffee from Malaysia or elsewhere, they want to make the possible tie-ups here to actually export Timor-Leste coffee to other regions. So these are the possible business collaboration which the Malaysian companies or other ASEAN companies can actually do.
Well, as you've mentioned, untapped potential as well. We spoke a little bit about the beaches and the coastlines and shorelines just before coming on air, and you described it as pristine and lots of potential there. Tourism has been described as well as one of Timor-Leste's untapped strengths, all the way from ecotourism to destinations like Atauro Island. Do you sense a serious push to develop this sector, and how could regional or international players take part in that growth story?
Yeah, like what you have mentioned, Atauro is the least explored beach. I mean, there's a very good diving facility there. What the Malaysian or ASEAN operators can do to actually tie up with the local diving operators here to actually build resorts or and hotel facilities for tourists. And there's so much of things. We have a large biodiversity here and rich coral reefs in Atauro Island. So, and one thing is that the connectivity improve. I think you want to boost tourism here. The air connectivity, you need to increase it from other ASEAN countries or elsewhere for the matter to actually boost tourism. So that actually plays an important role. Connectivity plays an important role to boost tourism.
Well, Sankara, for anyone looking to engage with Timor-Leste, whether as an investor or simply as a traveler, what are some of the practical things they'll need to know, from the use of the US dollar perhaps to the food culture? How ready is Timor-Leste to welcome regional and global visitors?
USD is the currency here. We actually trade in USD, so whatever you buy is in USD. But they still use their own currency called centavo. So this is actually you can't help. So USD actually makes people's life more easier to spend because it's widely used and all that. And also language shouldn't be a barrier because they speak um, multiple languages. Because they have the Tekun language, the native language, then they have Portuguese, speaking community here. Then they have English and Bahasa Indonesian, yeah, for that matter, because when Malaysians come here, the language wouldn't be a barrier because they speak Indonesian. So, and also the food. We have tremendous food. I mean, the former Portuguese colony. We have food, we have Portuguese, we have the local cuisine, we have Pakistan, Indian food. So there are tremendous of food choices for Malaysians and also people from outside.
Well, sounds like very much like home in terms of food and the diversity of languages as well. Sankara, we hope that, well, we understand that you're staying back an extra few days in order to welcome the Prime Minister as well and to give us updates of his visit. As we talk about opportunities, of course, that comes with challenges, a few obstacles as well as we narrow those gaps for growth. What are some structural gaps that Timor-Leste still needs to address if you look at it from an infrastructure point of view to skills and regulation before it can fully attract and sustain outside investment?
What is lacking here, Jessy, is the business regulatory framework. The business, here people are actually very welcoming. They're hospitable. Only thing what investors want to know is the business framework. The ease of doing business, what laws are governing the business industry here. So they are ready, but the investors are very cautious about it. So this is lacking. And also on the infrastructure side, I think airport should be upgraded here. I think there still needs to be done more on the airport. They have a very short runway. It's not enough to cater for flights. So that should be upgraded. And and also port facilities. Many basic things, and also laws. I think it comes to law and energy as well. Electricity is one of the main things here, and how we can actually boost it up, and these are the major sectors we can actually work on.
Sankara, before I let you go, at this stage, in terms of flights, there's only one direct flight by Batik Air that is linking Kuala Lumpur to Dili. That's also how Bernama's team arrived at Dili. How critical are these kind of air links for Timor-Leste's future, not just for Malaysia, but for ASEAN again and for international access?
Yeah, like what you said, Batik operates 2 flights per week. Which is not enough. I think connecting what I said is important to boost this as well. I think more talks should be done with our local airline companies in Malaysia to actually get connected here. We can fly here. Another thing, what you call tourism is a very major part in the state. I think Malaysians can contribute a lot in terms of tourism. And
Right, Sankara, I think we are losing a little bit of connectivity in terms of the audio here. But we want to thank you for spending some time with us despite having a busy schedule there and joining us live on the program. That was V. Sankara, Assistant Editor of the General News Service at Bernama, live from Dili in Timor-Leste. Well, more global updates in just a moment. You're watching The World on Bernama TV. Stay with us.
Setiap langkah